One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. So let me be free. One day I'm gonna be free. Mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I'm standing at the crossroads. I'm feeling like a lost soul. Don't know where I wanna go, but all I know is I wanna be free. They're telling me to let it be, but that just ain't in me, no. Jealousy and envy, but all I see is I wanna be free. See everything I wanna be, exactly what I'm gonna be. Don't let it get the most of me. Eventually, I'm gonna be free. See everything I wanna be, exactly what I'm gonna be. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I'm gonna be free. Let me be free. One day I'm gonna be free. Mentally and physically, emotionally and spiritually. Yeah. One day I'm gonna be free. I told them take their aim off me. Stop trying to get a name off me. If they would just let me be, I'm gonna be free. I told them take them chains off me and throw away the locks and keys. If they would just let me be, eventually I'm gonna be free.
They're back.
What up, though? 14 days.
I was waiting for that. I was waiting for you to say 7.
We back again for another episode of Dominant Effect. I'm Archbishop. We got Mike Ball, Aaron Olinger. What's up, everybody? Apologies for last week. I ended up having to work a little later than planned, and I knew I wasn't going to make it back home in time enough to do this. So we're going to put more into it tonight to make up for what we didn't do last week. But before we get started, like always, we check and see what everybody done for the week. So what's up, Aaron? How you doing, brother? How was your holiday?
I'm doing great. Oh, man, it was wonderful. I got to spend time with family. I was invited to 3 different dinners, and I went to them. I always take something to the party with me. So everyone enjoyed the food I brought, and I enjoyed the company and conversation. So to me, it doesn't get any better than that. I'll stop there.
That's right. It doesn't get much better than that. I had family fly in, and we kind of traditionally, since last year, where we all agreed that the family's going to all come here for Thanksgiving kind of thing. So that's exactly what we did, and we had a great time. And great people to be around, great family, food. Man, it was just a great time all the way around.
That's what's up. Yeah, it was pretty good on this end. I worked for most of it, but then on actual Thanksgiving, I had to go in there and hit the kitchen a little bit, burn a little bit. But yeah,
Oh
everything was
shit.
good, man. Um, I made the best of the little bit of time that I did have off because, like I said, I didn't have the whole weekend off. I had to go back to work. So, um, but what time I did have, I had a good time.
That's
So,
good.
being able to spend it with family and friends, and what I mean, it's just what this is about, right?
That's right.
So that's what we're doing.
Do you
Um,
guys mess with Black Friday or Cyber Monday or any of that shit?
man,
Because I don't either. I didn't even look. You know.
no, I ain't even attempted.
Nah.
I ain't even attempted. I ain't even opened my eyes. You know what I mean?
I heard
That's
that.
one of them times you just look and be like, yeah, all right,
Yeah.
just keep on going. Um, like I said, I mean, like we got this going, and then we also, like I said, we got Christmas right around the corner, and so that's gonna be a good one. Also during the month of December, Mike, we got an anniversary.
Oh
Uh,
shit.
on the 28th of
Oh,
December,
for Diamond
we
Effect.
did our first show. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So
Wow.
that would
I'll be a third year.
that be our second year.
Second year. Okay.
Hmm.
Time
Yep.
flies when you're having fun.
Right. Right. Yeah. So we're gonna have something. We're gonna have something special on that day. Um, we'll see if we can throw out. We may have a couple of free things to throw out to the ones that's watching that night. So, but we'll see. We'll see. So we're going to jump into this story. Like I said, we was going to jump into this last week, but we're going to jump into it now. Um, but I want to jump into the question that millions of Americans kind of feel in their gut right now, but they don't really know how to explain it. And that is this collapse happening naturally, or is somebody else guiding this? Because let's be real, these prices didn't just skyrocket on accident. Middle class doesn't disappear on accident. The dollar doesn't get challenged by half the world overnight by accident. And these banks don't quietly collapse one after the other by accident. Every major system in this country are bending, breaking, and some of them are resetting at the exact same time, though, which is oddly peculiar. So today, we're going to lay out the patterns that the media is not going to talk about, don't want to talk about, and the warning signs that this is a global shift and the forces that benefiting from this shift. So this episode, I'm going to tell you right now, is not about fear. It's about clarity. Because when you know what's happening and you know the truth behind what's happening,
Mhm.
you can stay 10 steps ahead of this. So this is what we're going to talk about today. So um, the first thing I want to talk about, and I titled this like each time I go by different segments as to what we're going to do. But this segment here, I'm going to title "Why Americans Feel Poor, Even When the Data Says Otherwise." Once again, why Americans feel poorer, even when the data says otherwise. Now,
I would just assume on that, by the way, that it would just be that people don't know how to live below their means. That's what I would assume.
yeah, that has
That
a little bit to do with it.
that would be a big part of it, but you also have to equate that the Federal Reserve has created a certain amount of inflation, and then with their quantitative tightening, which is the reduction of money out there in the system, and that's a monetary policy. Uh, they're totally controlling the availability of money to the public, and then they're creating inflation that sits back and robs your bank accounts because when you go to the store to spend your earnings, everything now costs more. We've since what 2020, we've seen things go up what three times, four times what we were paying for just a few years ago, And back then they could blame it on the epidemic or pandemic that was going around. But what's the excuse now? Inflation is still there. They claim it's going down, but the only thing that went down in my area in recent months is that gasoline. It's below $3 a gallon. But what little bit I'm saving there doesn't compensate me for the amount that food is costing, especially meat and produce, especially if it's organic, or they call it organic. Back in my day, it was just apples and oranges. Now it's organic if it's not GMO, which is seedless. So
Real quick on that, Aaron,
go
regarding
ahead.
the inflation, people conflate what is actually happening. Like, oh, prices, they're claiming that the prices are going down essentially. No, they're just claiming that the rate of inflation has gone down a little bit. That's what they're basically getting at. Not that
Right.
prices or anything around you is necessarily going to get lower, because they're not. They're just
So
going up faster, slower. You know what I
I,
mean? That's essentially the way it works.
I'm going to tell you this: when the Federal Reserve created inflation, and Biden said a little bit of inflation never hurt anybody, which that was a lie. And he also said inflation is transitory, which means temporary. That turned out to be a lie. Uh, with inflation being where it's at, once inflation got started, greed got started with it. And you got corporations out there that saw a chance to raise prices, even though the tariffs weren't in effect or anything. And they saw a chance to make extra money. Then it took on a life of its own. It became a greed became a Frankenstein monster that was floating hand in hand with inflation. Now inflation is going lower, but has greed gone lower? I say not, but I'll stop there.
You know, both of you are right, but one of the things, like what Mike was saying, like from the paper itself, inflation is dropping on paper,
Right.
but it's rising in reality, actually.
Yes.
Hmm.
So, but you also got to realize that the government tracks inflation using the CPI system, which averages the prices are based on certain categories.
Hmm.
So, real world inflation is basically non-negotiable. It's not even added into that. So when you're dealing with food, rent, utilities, insurance, transportation, um, they've increased far faster than what the CPI suggested. Now, groceries, for instance, in the past 2 years, has went anywhere between 20 to 40% increase. Car insurance went up 30%. Now I know here in Florida, car insurance is outrageous.
I can't even
Outrageous.
imagine. All insurance in Florida for everything is outrageous.
Right, right. It's outrageous. And good old Mr. DeSantis is part of the reason why a lot of that is it's like it is. I mean, and they did a lot of protests here in Florida dealing with that insurance. Matter of fact, um, uh, Bone was one of the ones that was up there. He spoke at the state capitol several times dealing with this insurance thing. Um, and so what they did was, like, being the fact that Florida has hurricanes, of course. So right before the last hurricane, what they did was they came through and they canceled a lot of people's flood insurance. So then when it flooded, they didn't have to pay out. So then they passed this bill, and a lot of the insurance companies left Florida, which only left a handful of companies here.
Yep.
So once you did that, they hiked the prices up because you didn't have no choice. You had to go through them. So like, for instance, I ran into this when I first got here. So when I moved from Ohio to Florida, I had State Farm insurance, which State Farm is nationwide, right? So before I left, I asked them, I said, okay, so do I need to switch my insurance or am I good? They was like, no, you good. State Farm. It's nationwide. Okay. But when I came here and I went to get my license transferred,
They're like, nope.
I give
we
them my
don't do it.
insurance card and they was like, no, you can't use this, What you mean? State Farm's nationwide. They said, no, it has to say State Farm, Florida.
Right, regional. It's regional by that.
Yes, has to say State Farm, Florida.
That's
Okay.
almost exactly the same thing that California just went through with the Palisades fires. You know, I mean, they all these companies pulled out right before all this shit, and they left the California. And guess what? There's only like 2 companies. So how does that work?
Right. And then just as soon as I did that, as soon as I went in there and signed up, my insurance automatically went up $100. Automatically. And now it's just like every couple months, it's jumping up. It's jumping up. You know what I mean? And it got to one point, just one vehicle alone, I was paying almost $400 a month.
Unreal.
You know, from my previous insurance payment was like 110.
Right. Right.
So if that tells you how much it bounces, you know what I mean, here, and how high it went. But it got so high here that a lot of these businesses, especially up in the panhandle, that constantly got hit, the insurance had jacked up so high that people couldn't even afford insurance. They wasn't getting insurance. And then another hurricane come through and they hit it. They hit, then another one come through and it hit what didn't hit the first time and just wiped it out. You know what I mean? And people lost their ass over there because they didn't have insurance because they couldn't afford it.
Yep. And they're left holding the bag with nothing at the end of the day. It's terrible.
Right. Right. So now you got these companies that keeps prices the same, so they say, but they shrinking the products. So you have, say, like an 18-ounce box of cereal. Now it's 14 ounces.
Yep.
You got the family size bag of chips that's 2 to 3 ounces smaller. You got a whole bag, and by the time you grab the bag, you got this much chips in it out of a whole big bag.
The rest of it was just air, you know?
Right. Even down to the toilet paper. You got fewer sheets. You know what I mean?
Right.
So they've been dropping this stuff down. Mind you, they charging you more for it.
They're raising the prices on it, though.
But they dropping down the actual product that they give you. So it isn't, now that particular part isn't counted in that CPI. So the public feels the pain on that without the system actually acknowledging that that's what's really going on. So then you have, on top of that, you got the wages that's going up, but it's also the cost of living is going up. Okay. No, let me take that back. Let me go back. The wages aren't going up, but the price of living is going up. Sorry. So even though the wages rose, 3 to 5 cents, inflation went a whole lot more than that. So after the adjustment for inflation, most Americans basically lost their purchasing power. So real wages have declined nearly every year since 2020 in the middle class section, that is. Now, the middle class has historically been the backbone of American stability, is what it's always been. But today, in this day and age, they earn too much for financial aid, too little to afford homes, retirements, and Medicare. And the money is so tight, you can't save. You're not able to save nothing because everything you making, you putting right back out the door.
Yeah, they're underwater already. Yep.
Right. You just looking at your bank account and like, yeah, okay. And
I'm just trying to make it to the next day, kind of thing. I
right.
get it.
Right. And it's gone. You know what I mean? So this isn't a random thing. It mirrors a historic control collapse used to shift the power from the middle to the top. And that's part of what we're going through right now. I mean, and from what we're looking at here, it's not going to get any easier. So when me and Aaron was talking earlier, I was telling him that I had seen something today where the Fed said that the first week in December that they were going to get off of the quantitative tightening and go back into quantitative easing. So with the easing, the only thing that they're going to do is just print money out the damn air. They're going to throw money everywhere. And like me and Aaron was talking about, for the short term, yes, it'll stimulate, it'll keep away the little stagflation there for a little bit. People will start buying, and they may go and they may drop the interest rate just a little bit. So, if you want to go get a house or something, you're going to be able to do it. But on the back end, though, the inflation is going to jump up. The prices for the stuff that we're paying for now is going to jump up, because the more money you have circulating to buy the same number of products that's been out, prices are going to go up. So in one sense, people would think that it's helping them, but in all actuality, it's really not. And that's the reason how they went into that quantitative easing anyway. They printed out all this money from the air just to go back and buy these bonds. And then they took them bonds when they did the tightening, and a lot of those bonds just went poof, disappeared, like they were never there. Basically, they got wrote off. You know what I mean? But a lot of people don't understand exactly what that meant. You know what I mean? What they were doing. A lot of people ain't really go through and see what quantitative easing and quantitative tightening really was and how that actually affects you. But now you get ready to see. The holidays are coming up. Everything's getting ready to jump up. All the prices are getting ready to skyrocket. And it's not gonna get any easier. This is just the beginning of what's going on. And that's, as we keep going in here, then you're gonna see that it's a whole lot more than what people are talking about. But let me ask you this question here, and I know, Aaron, you're gonna jump something up here, but the question that I'm asking you in the audience to answer, you can put it on the chat what your answer is going to be. Is the dollar in real danger, or is this just fear overblown? Put your answer in the comment as to what you think it is. I'm gonna read it again. Is the dollar in real danger, or is this a fear overload? Aaron, I'll start with you.
All right, Mike, if you don't mind, could you put up that photo for me?
I got you. Let me see.
Okay.
Let me locate it first. Give me a second here.
Okay.
Here it is. All right.
Okay, as people can see, this is the dollar's worth, and you can see it's had some highs, but here recently, it looks like a ski slope that somebody goes skiing on. It's been constantly going down. Keep in mind that the Federal Reserve, or let me take that out, the central banking system of the world is basically destabilizing the dollar and taking its value down lower, lower, and lower. So is it our imagination that we're losing purchasing power? No. The graph itself clearly shows that it is, because under quantitative tightening, which is a contractionary monetary tool that's applied by the central banks to decrease the amount of liquidity or money supply in the economy. So if they're decreasing money supply, businesses that hire people cannot create new jobs, especially good paying jobs. They don't have the money to expand. So you're decreasing the ability of people to earn, as well as the creation of new jobs for the young people that's getting out there into the workforce. Now we're going to go to quantitative easing, which again is a monetary policy by the central banks. It's where the purchases are predetermined amount of government bonds that they're going to buy, or company shares, to artificially stimulate the activity or the economy. The key word there is artificially stimulate. You're manipulating the market. It's not real. You're buying U.S. debt that's supposed to be sold on the world market to other countries, and the Federal Reserve or the central banks are supposed to be the buyer of last resort. No one's buying our debt right now. So that hurts the value of our money. So the Fed has to step in and purchase it, which that becomes a loan to the government that has to be paid back. It forms a dependency on an entity that doesn't have our country in its best interest. Look at the Great Depression. because they didn't like the president that was in office, they kept raising interest rates until the stock market collapsed. Then and they've been around since 1913. And then 5 years later, under Roosevelt, they said that the American public couldn't own gold no more, and they had to turn in their gold. And if the president didn't make it happen, that they was going to hurt our economy worse. And the American public was forced to turn it in for the Federal Reserve notes. That's how much power that they have. And as you can see, they control the money. They're the manufacturer of the money. And look at how the dollar has slid down over and over again. People's bank accounts should feel like they're being raped right now because of how much purchasing power we've lost. But let me
Well,
stop there. I'm getting mad
actually,
over here.
I got a little some regarding purchasing power. This is actually a graph that I made,
Mhm.
and this is into regards to the gold buying power in 2025 and the U.S. dollar in 2025. Right. So the blue line's the U.S. dollar, as you guys can see it going down each month, and gold going up each month. The way that I reset this is when I made this graph, I reset all bases back at 0. Okay, so everything was rebased at 0 at January 2025, and this is the difference since then, right? So this is just leading up till September. This is what? January, February, March, April, May, June. That's it. And that's how much of a difference we're already seeing when everything's been rebased. So yeah, our U.S. dollar is definitely in jeopardy right now.
Yeah. And then on
Mhm.
top of that, we're carrying a U.S. debt right now of $38.34 trillion. I
Right.
mean, there's our let's see, our interest payment on that, and this is a year, is $970 billion a year. That's almost $1 trillion. That's just the interest payment. We can't even pay down the debt. We can't afford, we have to borrow money from other nations just to pay the interest payment. I mean, can you imagine having a credit card that you can't pay on the debt at all? All you can do is make the interest payment, and you're barely doing that. And you're having to borrow money in order to pay that debt. I mean, name me one nation in the world that got out of debt by borrowing more money. Name me any of them. It's a floundering economy. I mean, we're that far over the edge of the cliff. We're falling, and somebody is helping us along the way called the central banking system.
Now,
But let
Aaron,
me
I got a
stop there.
question. I got a question for you. Um, do you see us being somewhat in the same range numbers of what objectively hyperinflation would be?
We're getting close.
Okay.
We're getting close. I mean, we're paying 3 and 4 times what the normal price of things was. But like, I'm gonna use Argentina as an example. They're in hyperinflation right now. A dozen eggs cost $200. So, I mean, you're talking about their bank accounts being raped. I mean, they're barely able to afford to eat.
Yeah, but we
So,
just bought out their currency.
yeah,
You
we
know?
bought the currency and they ain't gonna be able to pay us back. So,
Hell no! I don't know why we fucking do dumb shit like this.
well, we
Bruh.
did it because if we get into war down in South America, Colombia is already against us, and then you've got Brazil is a part of the BRIC alliance. We need a friendly nation down there if we have to run planes to or come at a different direction on an attack to get them in a two-front war. We would need that access, and we can't let that whole country down there go red and become BRIC alliance. They're too close to our border. So we're trying to save some of the allies, but man, we're so far over the edge ourselves. Anybody we try to save, it's like you're trying to save someone in water and you're holding them up, but they're pulling you under the water, and you're trying to save them, but you're bobbing up and down. You're almost drowning trying to save these people. So, man, we're in a bad shape right now, and people don't realize how bad it is.
But a lot of these interest payments that's being paid rivals a lot of major federal programs, like the amounts that they're spending,
Mm-hmm.
because the interest rates rose, the cost of service and the debt just exploded. So, so with that forces the government to do this little loop so to speak. So you got more borrowing equals larger payments equals more borrowing.
Mhm.
You know, now on the historic side of that, you know, every major empire and we've talked about this before, every major empire collapsed financially following
internally.
this script,
Right.
following this script right here. So you had Rome that was basically had to debase their currency. You had Germany that printed out way more money than they were supposed to, which started hyperinflation, printing out more than what they were supposed to. And then, like you said, you got Argentina and Greece that defaulted after the debt. Now you had to turn around and buy out that debt. Same reason how you got China and Japan and these other countries buying out our treasuries as we speak.
Right.
You know what I
Rome
mean?
was interesting with their bullion. You know, they had like 90% sterling, and they had fine silver and stuff like that in their coins. But as far as I know, they went from, having high silver content to damn near nothing by the end of their collapse. And that's essentially the government printing money. It's the same concept, because you only have a limited amount of supply of gold and silver. And if you keep cheapening your currency just to get more of your currency, well, you're actually losing in the long run.
Right, right. And then too, you also got to think that once they switch back over to this quantitative easing, dollar's going to drop a little bit more.
Mhm.
So that part is definitely going to happen. They've already just said that they between the 1st and the 10th of December, they're going to lean over more towards quantitative easing and stop tightening. So you're going to see when we talk about this, give it about a couple months, and then we're going to compare some of this stuff as to what the price is now as opposed to what the price is going to be in a couple months.
Real quick,
Now,
I want to shout out Black Legionnaire for the $5, man. Thank you so much for that. Goes a long freaking way.
See, now then on top of that, you also got to think about the global shift, because you got a lot of these countries that's trying to push yourself away from the dollar. That's what started the BRIC expansion. So that's a direct threat to U.S. dominance around the world. Now, of course, y'all know BRICS is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, but they now been joined by Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Iran, Egypt, and Ethiopia.
Right. It's a great way around sanctions for themselves. It's great.
Right. Now, with Saudi Arabia, you got to think Saudi Arabia plus the BRICS partnership, that threatens the U.S. in one big way, because that was the reason why Saudi Arabia got away from the petrodollar.
Right.
And that petrodollar was the foundation of global power since 1974, when they first initiated it. Now, those of you who don't know the story with that, the dollar was actually under the gold standard until 72, when Richard Nixon took it off. Now in 74, Henry Kissinger made a deal with Saudi Arabia that we're gonna put bases all around, and we're gonna protect you and the UAE, and nobody's gonna mess with you. And if they do, then they got to deal with us. In exchange for that, you're gonna sign this 50-year agreement that no one can buy oil in this area unless they use the U.S. dollar to do it. That was done 50 years ago. When that ended on June 9th of, was it June 9th? Yeah, June 9th. When that ended, the dollar instantly started dropping, because Saudi Arabia decided that they wasn't going to re-up this treaty, and they're going to let everybody just get it however they get it. Now you don't need the dollar in order to buy it. So what was people doing? Start dumping. They started dumping treasuries. They started putting the money back out in circulation that they were holding on to, which helped with dropping it some more, because there was more currency floating around than it needed to be. So they already had this set up that this is what they was going to do. That they was going to end up going over the BRICS, and that's exactly what they did. So so these countries are settling trade on more of a non-dollar by using non-dollar currencies. Is what they've been doing. So you got China and Russia, they now trade using the yen. You got India and Russia using ruples. You have Saudi Arabia has been negotiating deals by using the yen. So that weakens the global demand for the dollar because everybody was getting oil from there. So that's constantly weakening on that end. Then you got the de-dollarization is slow, but it's steady because it hasn't risen since June 9th, since they ended the petrodollar. It hasn't risen at all. It's just been gradually dropping. But you got to think about this. Even a 10% shift from the dollar destabilizes the U.S. markets, and it raises inflation at the same time. Now, why does that matter? Because if global trust from the U.S. dollar fades, the imports become more expensive, borrowing becomes harder, inflation becomes permanent, and the U.S. loses its geopolitical leverage. Now, that's the backbone of the global power that we've had, that's slipping. So whether we want to believe this or not, this is what's going on. A lot of people don't know about this. They don't even talk about this.
Of course not.
You know what I mean? You hear every now and again, you may hear something about BRICS every now and again, but nobody's actually going on there telling you exactly how serious that is because they're doing everything humanly possible to drop that dollar.
Right. And that's, just like we're struggling, they're struggling too. They don't got it all fantastic either, but they are a humongous threat. Want to give a big shout out to Terrell coming in with the $5 on the Cash App. I very much appreciate that. That goes a long way. Thank you for that.
Go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah, I want to add to what you're saying. When you went back in history and you talked about us going off the gold standard, our money was in trouble back then, whether people realized it or not. We had to go off the gold standard or we was about to become insolvent as a nation. Plus, OPEC oil had us by the short hairs because they put an oil embargo against us and was threatening our economy with not selling us any oil. Now, when Henry Kissinger negotiated that petrodollar agreement, we were long-standing holding that grudge. The countries that didn't sign on for that, if you notice, OPEC don't exist no more. We destabilized everybody from Libya down to Syria. We destabilized all of them. We taught them a hard lesson. We destroyed their economies. They don't hardly exist no more. They're failed countries. And we took it to them. And now you fast forward to right now. Saudi's trying to play both sides against the middle. They're trying to play on the BRICS side, but they're still kind of leaning toward us. So Trump was able to get the Saudis to manufacture more oil, to flood the market with oil. Argentina, well, not Argentina, but Venezuela and Russia and some other countries, the value of their money is based upon their oil production and their oil sales. With oil being down around $40 to $48 a barrel, their economy is hard hit. Now, if oil went above 100, they would be walking in tall grass with the tall dogs. But right now, their economies are suffering because the market is oversaturated with oil, so they can't get as big a price. China is suffering due to all the corporations that have gone under within their own nation, which the corruption and the corporations going under has created such large debt that their money isn't as strong as it would appear on the surface. So they can't take off right now on us as hard as they think that they'd want to, because of how bad things is for them right now. If it wasn't for that, we'd be in some trouble. But as long as we can keep the pressure valves on them, on their economies, then it takes a little pressure off of us. But hey, we're still suffering too over here, because we don't build a dependency upon the central banking system to keep us afloat with their currency, their Federal Reserve notes. They're literally running our economy right now. And I feel that was one of the worst things that ever happened when they allowed the central banking system set up inside this country. Russia and China, I believe, got rid of them, but we still have them, and we're going to pay a price for that when our economy collapses, and it's due to them manipulating the puppet strings. But I'll stop there.
Mm-hmm.
Very true.
That's
Hey,
what
everybody, make sure you hit the like button. By the way, we have over 100 of you guys in here. Make sure you hit that like button and double tap the screen if you're on the vertical side.
So do you think, Aaron, that this well, I'll ask you and Mike, do you think this could lead to this new financial system like CBDCs?
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, the Federal Reserve already has Fed Now in place, which is that's not digital currency. It's a service provided by the Fed that allows banks to transfer money back and forth in large sums in real time. They have that in place. They already have the CBDC, the central bank digital currencies, which exists only in a digital form. And instead of printing money, the Fed, or rather the central bank, issues a widely accessible digital coin that transactions can be made more simple. You don't have to print money to do a transaction. Everything is done digitally. That's the carrot on the stick to get everybody to go for it. Is everything's going to be much more simpler. Yeah, it's going to be simpler for them to control you, but hey, what do I know? But I'll stop there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, because um, crisis is what actually
Mm-hmm.
starts all these new systems.
Yes,
So
yeah, yeah.
take for example, back in 2008, you had you had the crisis that went on then. So then you
Mm-hmm.
had the mega bank consolidation, where they went through and paid all that money to free up all those banks. After the Great Depression, you had the start of the Social Security and the FDIC right after that.
Mm-hmm.
A modern collapse that we're talking right now could lead to this digital dollar, because it's programmable, it's trackable, and it's fully controlled. Now, the Fed now was the infrastructure, but the CBDC could actually be the final step to that. And I was looking at this documentary earlier in the week, and it was talking about the CBDC and the digital IDs and all that, and the way it was talking on there about um, how the WHO was talking about in 2030 that the world will own nothing and be happy for it, and
That's right.
where that actually came from, and that actually came from a lady who had wrote a paper over in Germany, and this is what she had highlighted as to what she felt should go on. And it's not going to be done without protest. We all know that. People going to raise hell whenever it comes to that. But there's actually stuff that's in place right now that we actually use every day that's pretty much close to what they're doing, because a lot of these states have been implementing certain little things here and there, like the digital license, or when you're doing the pay and you got your card on your phone and you just, just tap and just go on about your business. They've been slowly working us into that anyway. You just ain't realize that that's what they're doing
Mm-hmm.
because it's easy, it's convenient, less time, and most people now that you talk to, what's the first thing they say? Oh, I don't carry cash. They slowly moving you into it. You know what I mean? So a lot of people would just go into it like it's no big deal. You know what I mean? A lot of people will go against it based on what they feel this represents, and total control of your money where you can tell where every dime is going, where you can tell me what I can and cannot spend my money on, where everything is trackable and traceable. You know what I mean? It's a system of control, basically. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. That's just what it's going to be. And it's slowly coming. Like I said, the UK is doing it right now. They've been doing it in China. I seen a thing the other day. Do you realize how many people, actual people that has jobs, is actually sleeping on the street right now because their social credit score is so low that they can't even get housing, or they can't drive their cars, the little electric cars, because their social credit score is too low? I mean, this is what's coming, whether we want to face it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Real
And
quick, Callie Kills coming in with the 9.99 saying, I can listen to you guys all day, every day. Y'all speaking nothing but facts. That is true, bro. Awesome. Thank you for that.
I mean, it's when you look at it, you can look at it two different ways. Number one, it's a sad set of events because we know what's going on, but then also we're actually living in history right now, because this is going to be, people were thinking that this was going to be something that was going to be way far into the future, and it's not.
It's right here, right
This is
around the
going to be
corner.
right. This is going to be within the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Within the next 5 years, all this stuff is going to be implemented.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the question is, what are you going to do between now and that time? What are you going to do? How are you going to prepare for it?
No kidding.
What things are you going to have in place? You know
Can
what
you
I mean?
survive this?
Right, because this isn't the time that you wait until it happens. Because if you wait until it happens, you're too late.
Facts. Way too late.
So then you have on top of all this, now you got the huge AI surge, and that's dealing with a lot of stuff, dealing with automation, a lot of these warehouse jobs, a lot of these factory jobs, a lot of these automotive jobs, and some in, like Chrysler, Ford, GM, they're getting more automated. People losing those, people getting out of those jobs. Well, they're not getting out of them because they want to get out of them. They're getting out of them because they don't have one. They don't have a job. But I seen a thing 2 days ago, and it said that millions of men from the ages of 20 to 54 have disappeared from the workforce. Over 7 million prime age men between 20 and 54 are no longer working. And they had the different reasons. So the reasons that they had was disability claims, lack of opportunity, automation, eliminating the jobs, and a lot of them just had mental health decline. 7 million. 7 million prime
That's a
age
lot.
men between 20 to 54 disappeared from the workforce. Now, with those numbers, that's actually catastrophic for an economy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, AI is eliminating these jobs faster than what we once thought was going to happen. I mean, of course, we knew AI was going to come in and it was going to play a role in a lot of this to make a lot of these jobs easier or whatever. What is that? Put your friends network together today across many platforms Am I praying another time will tell? No, actually, you're not. No, you actually dead on. No,
That's
you
right.
actually dead on.
Get your people, your muster list of people that you're going to be, with or around during times of crisis. And absolutely, this shit is survival mode, baby.
Right, right. Now you gotta think like a lot of these AI programs, they replacing writers, customer service people, logistics, uh, basic accounting, technical support, um, transportation, data analysis. Hell, you even got cop cars now that's running on the remote, running on AI. That just show. Now I don't know what they're gonna be able to do, but I know I just seen a thing the other day where Miami has vehicles, has actual police cars that show up. They're fully AI. Ain't nobody in the car. Now, what the hell you plan on doing? I have no idea, but they have them, and it
Crazy.
it pops out a drone on the top of it, and the drone goes around and does surveillance and all that jazz. I mean,
That's
it's a whole
crazy.
right. It's a whole big thing. Um, even okay now, also going with the CBDC and then dealing with this, like you got to remember too, all that little gig work the people was doing, they're working behind the table. You know what I mean? That little bit of work you doing over here for the little extra money, that shit's over. You know what I mean? It ain't gonna be no more of that. So, um, so you got right now, you got millions of people right now that's that's only surviving by doing like DoorDash, Uber, Instacart,
No kidding.
uh, little side hustles, some little online freelancing type stuff because a lot of these jobs then went kaput. You know what I mean? But does that not mirror a control shift? What do you think about that, Aaron?
Well, I say you're 100% right. And I'll be honest with you, they're going to have to reduce populations of the world down to controllable numbers because right now there's too many people in the United States alone. There's not enough jobs to go around everybody, especially with AI getting ready to take over. You're going to have a lot of people running around with nothing to do. Uh, but if you can get rid of them due to a pandemic or a major war, uh, you can get that population down to a controllable number without them realizing that you're culling the herd. uh, in my area at the airport. This happened 2 years ago. I was out that way. I saw a helicopter that had sheriff wrote on the side of it. It wasn't a full size helicopter. It was about half the size, probably about the size of a little bit bigger than my minivan.
Mm-hmm.
But it had these pods on the side. And I asked somebody what they were, and they told me they was I can't remember if they said tear gas or pepper spray dispensers that in case of a riot, that chopper could fly right over top of rioters or protesters. It could literally crop dust them to death with a chemical agent. And I was like, wow. I mean, and then you got AI that's going to be controlling some of these new jet fighters. Uh, you got what's his name, Bill Gates, saying that with the amount of satellites he's putting up there, not counting Elon Musk, that there won't be a square piece on Earth that you can go that they're not going to be able to find you or see you. I mean, it's getting scary. And
Mm-hmm.
like the one person said earlier, you better be building your community right now because that's what you're going to have to count on when we get into this.
Mm-hmm. Do you see this right here? One of the somebody put on here the birth rates are already pretty low, which is
Yeah,
true because a lot of people are not having kids these days because everything is so high. They can't afford to have kids.
right.
You
And
know.
let me add to that. If you're going to reduce the population, you have to slow down the birth rate and you have to speed up the death rate. That's the two formulas to the recipe that you have to do in order to get a population down. I mean, China went to what, one child, but because of the number of people they had, their population still went up because they wasn't able to slow down the birth rate. They thought they did by just going to one child, but hell, when you got billions and they're still able to make one child each, your number's still going to go up. And then you didn't do nothing to speed up the death rate. So, in order to get the numbers to where they got to get, slow down the birth rate. That could be why they're coming out with these sexual robots that they're getting ready to come out with. And, and then two, they got to
Shit.
increase the death rate, which a pandemic would be ideal at this moment. Something that is going to be highly infectious with at least a 25 to 50% kill ratio. You can knock things out within a year or two.
You said sex robots?
Yeah, you ain't been seeing them advertising them on Facebook.
Shit, that's crazy.
I
No,
mean, they got military. China's got a military combat robot that can do handsprings. I was shocked,
Mm-mm.
and
So,
I'm
okay,
like,
so let
man,
me ask you this.
that'd be a hard rascal to stop with a firearm. I mean, we getting ready to see Terminator for real.
Hmm. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Let me ask you this, and this is for both of you, and also for you ones that's watching. You can put your answer in the chat there. How close are we to a true reset moment? Let me say it again for the ones that didn't hear that. How close are we to a true reset moment?
oh man, this shit could happen next week. I mean, it could. Now, realistically, what I'm looking at in my timeline, 5 years.
Hmm. Now, me personally, I think it's more closer than people think.
Mm-hmm.
Now, now let me say this first. A reset does not mean that the system collapse overnight. That's not what that means. It
Right.
happens in stages, and stages that we're actually already in. So you got high inflation, you got the debt explosion, you got geopolitical shifts, you got bank consolidations, and then you have technological the technological transition. Sorry, um, all of that just takes one major trigger: banking failure, a global conflict, a bond crisis, and we'll push all that shit into a final stage. That's how simple it is. Now, like I said, when you're talking about this reset, a lot of people think that okay, everything's just going to crash and this is what's going to happen. No, 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 no. Nobody never said it was going that it had to crash completely overnight for this to happen. It's there's stages to that, and just by the stages that I just read off to you, those are those are actually going on right now.
Hmm.
So a lot of this stuff, so to answer that question, I mean, how close are we? Very close. Very close.
Hmm. I would agree with you 100% that we're very close. To say it's within the next 5 years, I think is very well said because of the 2030 agenda under the UN. Uh, is it going to happen overnight? No, it's going to be like putting frogs in a pot and you turn the temperature up slowly until you got them boiling and cooking and they don't even realize it. That's how slow it's going to be. Look at how they got us to go toward a cashless system. First, we had cash. Then we went to checks. Then we went from checks to debit and credit cards. Now we're getting ready to go to a digital currency before we go into the beast system.
And
I
that's the
mean,
scary shit right there, man.
yeah, it's been a stage of getting you used to not having cash and getting on to systems that they're more able to control. And the crash itself, depending upon how bad they want it to be, uh, it could be minor to where we bounce back up onto our feet with the digital currency, or it could be major to where people are going to suffer for 6 months to a year, and then they're going to release the currency and say, "Here it is, here you go. If you want relief, we're going to give this digital currency to you. Everybody's going to be allotted a certain amount. If you refuse to become part of the system, you're not going to get nothing. You're not going to be able to work. You're not going to be able to enter any banks, any stores. You're not going to be able to go to your job and clock in. Your kids ain't going to be able to go to school. They're going to set it up to where it's going to be so critical. You're not going to have any other choice but to go for
Th-
the okey doke.
this is exactly why gold and silver is so
Mm-hmm.
such a topic right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's a very unfortunate landscape that we're against right now, and you guys have to get in the mindset of if you don't hold it, you don't own it.
That's right.
Because it's getting to the point where, yeah, you may have like let's say $100,000 in the bank. Listen, man, what happens when they say we don't even recognize the dollar? You know, now it's this or whatever the case is. I mean, you want to be able to protect yourself in some sort of way to be able to survive every situation. And gold and silver is the financial way through a reset to be able to survive it. That is definitely the number one way to do it on a financial level.
Yeah, gold and silver offers you independence.
Yes.
Um, and you look at Venezuela, when people went under there, their currency went under, and we kind of helped that along. The people who had gold and silver immediately moved into gated communities and had armed guards. The other people were raiding the local zoos and were killing the animals just to have something to eat. I mean, they was going to the aquariums, killing the whales and stuff, and cutting them up with machetes to have something to eat. I read endless reports of stuff like that happening. Food trucks being ambushed on the roadways, going to the grocery stores and stuff. So, yeah, everyone has a choice. I mean, you can decide: are you going to be the one that's in the gated community, or are you going to be the one out here fighting over resources? I mean, that the choice is going to be yours.
So real quick,
Right.
I want to say one thing. I put a poll up, and we've had a lot of engagement on it. We have 67 votes on it, but I asked when will the reset happen, and I put 1 to 2 months, 1 to 2 years, 2 to 5 years, and 5 to 10 years. And it's actually kind of spread across where 25% of people think 1 to 2 months, and then 31% of people think 1 to 2 years. 25% of people think 2 to 5 years, and 18% of people think 5 to 10. So most people are thinking way more sooner than later.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting.
Yeah, my guess is I'm thinking it's going to be it'll be totally in effect within the next 5 years. That's my opinion. Now, what I think will happen is just like we're doing now. Like I said before, we're constantly breeding ourselves to do this just by the practices that we do every day.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's going to happen is that when some of this stuff do actually come about to the point that they're talking about chips and all this other little gadgets that they're talking about using, there's gonna come a situation that's gonna pop up that a lot of people are gonna do it simply because they don't have a choice, i.e., SNAP benefits, Medicaid, shit like that. Okay, you want it, you take this. A lot of them would jump up and do that for those reasons. The and like we have said numerous times, they will make a situation to where you don't have a choice but to do that. You know what I mean? And a lot of people will say right now, like, no, I'm not going to do it. But if you're hungry enough, your kid's hungry, you're going to do it. Whether you want to or not, you're going to do it. Unless you prepare yourself for a lot of this stuff. Now, there's a couple things that you can do. Like, number one, reduce all your high interest debt. Reduce all that. Try to get out those high interest credit cards, all that. Pay that shit down.
That is number one. That is
Pay it
top
down,
priority.
pay it off. Right.
Yep.
Build you a cash reserve, gold and silver. Have multiple income streams where you generating from everywhere. And the third thing that I think that would be most important would be to actually protect your purchasing power. And I mean that by your skills, your assets, your investments that you can be able to hold on to when this dollar weakens.
Right.
Because it's going to hold the value. Gold, silver, gold backs, platinum. All of these, if you go look them up right now, have skyrocketed.
Absolutely.
You know, like when we showed the gold backs on her before, $100 gold back is now worth almost $900.
I was about to say 900. Yep.
You know, the dollar gold back when they first came out, you could get them for a couple bucks.
Yeah.
$2-3 you could get them.
I heard it was $2.50 back then or whatever it was.
Right. Now they pushing $9.
Yeah.
You know, so a $1 gold back is now worth $9.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And every time the gold prices go up, gold back's gonna go up too.
And that's one thousandth of a troy ounce.
Right.
You know.
And then you have a lot of these states now that's starting to produce these gold backs. You know, it started out with just a couple. And now every couple months you see there's another state, there's another state, there's another state.
Yep.
That's going to start making them.
But there's a contingency there though, right? They have to be in a surplus as a state to be able to even offer gold backs. If you're in debt, you can't even offer them.
Right. And soon that's going to be a lot of states, you know, preferably a lot of states in the South ain't going to be able to do it.
No, they're not. Totally not.
Yeah, a lot of states in the South ain't going to be able to do it.
Nope.
But but we were talking about when that first came out that there was a reason why they were doing it. But do you hear anybody talking about it? Do you see any commercials talking about go buy gold backs? No.
Hell no.
Do you hear them talking about it on the news? No.
I bet you there's people in here right now that are like, what the fuck is a gold back?
Right. If you know, then you know.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know about them. Aaron told me. Then I started buying them. Then we told you. And you started
and then I started buying them, and I still buy them.
Right. And I tell people all the time, go buy it. Go buy gold back. Go buy silver. Go buy gold. You know what I mean? I was telling people to go buy gold go buy silver when I was getting it when it was $19, $20 an ounce.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Now it's over 50. Was it like 54 right now?
It's 59 right now.
Is it 59?
Yeah.
Okay. So now it's pushing $60 an ounce now.
Yeah, it was almost $60 yesterday, but it's going to be there very close.
Okay, but at the beginning of the year, it was $18, $19.
Well, I don't know if at the beginning of the year, I don't think it was that cheap.
No. Yeah, it was. That's when I was buying it. Yeah, that's when I was buying it.
No, not this year.
I'm telling you. No, this year. That's when I started buying it.
At what price?
I was getting it for like $20 an ounce.
No way. That's crazy. Yes.
It shot up quick. Me and Aaron been talking about this for months. And we kept saying, it's going to jump up. It's going to jump up. That's what made me start buying it. Talking to Aaron. Because he was
and this bull run that we're seeing on gold and silver, in particularly silver, we're 2 years into the bull run theoretically. And I think that we're on a very early stage of the bull run. People are like, oh, the bull run's over, blah, blah, blah. I actually think the bull run's going to happen for another 6 to 8 years.
But what do you think going to happen once it gets to the certain point to where you're not able to buy it? Because well, I mean, look at a lot of these central banks, and if they're struggling to get shit, then yeah, that's a hightail sign to the public. Yo, get it now, and that's exactly why I think everyone should be in a rush to get it, because I mean, I'm in a rush to get it, so I wouldn't steer you guys wrong on that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we said that. What we got? We at 109, so we're gonna drop it down.
Conversation.
Yeah, we're gonna drop it down for the evening. I mean, actually, it was a whole lot more that we could talk about on this.
Oh,
But we're
easy.
going it's a whole lot more that we're gonna talk about. But we're gonna drop it down for the evening though. But I want y'all to think about something here, because at the end of the day, whether this collapse is intentional or is just a result of decades of bad decisions, the outcome is still gonna be the same. America is being reshaped, and it's being reshaped right in front of our eyes. The
Mhm.
economy we grew up with is gone. The middle class is shrinking. The dollar is being challenged. That we do know. Digital money is coming. CBDC is coming. And the global balance of power is shifting away from us, whether we like it or not. But here's the truth that a lot of you don't want to hear: you are not powerless. You are not supposed to be confused. You are not supposed to be suffering quietly. I would say it that way. The people who survive these resets are the ones that stay informed, pay attention, and refuses to let this system catch them off guard. So stay sharp, stay prepared, stay aware. So this is the Diamond Effect, and we're here to bring you the truth behind some of these stories that the world news is not going to put you into. So until next time, I thank everybody for coming out, watching. Hit that like button on the way out. Like, follow, share, subscribe. Pass this on to a friend, somebody you work with, whatever. Just tell them go on there and hit that button. Watch some of this stuff. You know what I mean? Because that's our end game there. It's, it's not about it's not about money. It's about putting this information out there and hoping that it's reaching enough people to where they're aware, they're informed, and they do what they need to do for their families before it's too late. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is facts. Now, like I said, like I always say, don't just take my word for it. Don't take Aaron's word for it. Don't take Mike's word for it. Look it up. Because the same way
Absolutely.
we found that information, you can find that information too.
Yep.
So, like I said, thank everybody for coming out. Next week, we're gonna have another story for you. Actually, next week we're gonna be talking about Agenda 2030, because that's something that we really need to tap into. Because there's a whole lot of bullshit involved with that, and we're gonna dig into it. So next week we're gonna be talking about Agenda 2030. So like I said, hit the like button on the way out. Scan that little QR code at the top up there. That takes you to the Diamond Effect uh, site. We got a lot of stuff on there. Go on and check it out. And if you're actually a member, you get another section that nobody even sees that has a lot of great stuff in it on that part as well. So go on there and check that out. And like I said, please, 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 please hit that like button. That's what get this out to the proper algorithm. You see that we're doing it on two different stages right now. We're doing the horizontal and vertical. So that way we're getting people watching TV and people watching on the phone.
That's
Hit
right.
that like button. Pass this on, because I'm telling you, this stuff that we're putting out right now it's important, and it's important for every single person needs to hear this. So put it out. So until next week, talk to y'all later. Peace, love, and out. Hair grease, Aaron, go ahead.
Okay. I don't know how people feel, but you should be asking yourself a question right now, and that is, are we at the end of the world as we know it? Is things about to drastically change? And depending upon where you're at, what stage you're at. If you're a beginner, you should be working right now on your health and fitness. You should be working on your finances. That includes investing, and you should be building relationships with your family, blood relation, or extended family. Now, that's beginner level. Intermediate level and advanced, you should be purchasing tools. More tools you got, more independent you are. Learn how to use them. You should learn how to grow food. You should be educating yourself in various skills so that you're not dependent upon anything or anybody. The more you can do for yourself, the better off you're going to be. And build your community. Get you a mechanic that can work on your car. Find you someone that can do plumbing that you can barter and trade with. These things are essential. So look into that. And I'll stop there.
Yeah, man. I think that people need to understand that this is not quote unquote fear mongering. This is very much a being realistic about a situation, objectively. And I can't thank Archbishop and Aaron enough for their expertise on these topics. I've learned an immense amount of time almost doing this now, almost 2 years with these guys. It's just been a great time to be able to have these conversations, and I'm very appreciative. And it's definitely put me in a better position to this day. So I'm very appreciative of that. The rhetoric that we speak up here, I actually follow. I do myself, and so I advise everyone here that was listening this evening to go ahead and take into consideration, like, okay, how do I survive every situation? I mean, that's essentially the way that you got to look at things. How do I if the stock market were to crash, will I be able to survive? If our U.S. dollar becomes worthless, will I be able to survive? All sorts of situations. And I think that we're just getting into a point of history where it's just getting to that point where it's just getting harder and harder and harder, and then it's gonna pop. And when this shit pops, it gets real quick, right? People are gonna be like, oh shit, now I want to go get a gun. Now I want to go get some gold and silver. It's like, no, you need to do this. We've been talking about this, and I hope that people really take advantage of the knowledge that is spelled out into these shows, man. So anyways, with that being said, much love, honor, respect, everybody. Make sure you guys hit that like button on the way out. I very much appreciate all of you guys. Stick around. We're going to be rating our buddy Carney's ride. He's live right now, so make sure you guys go over there and let him know that we're coming through with the Mike Ball raid and Diamond Effect raid, man. So thank you guys very much, and we'll see you guys here in 7 days. Much love, honor, respect, and God bless.
There